Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Laura of Laura Plans It, and today I'm going to do a walkthrough of the list and file binder set inserts that you can use if you are a military spouse or really anybody who's moving. These are really great inserts for they're PCS specific, so if you're not military, PCS means permanent change of station. It's when we move, and that usually takes place depending on your rank and your job category, can be anywhere from 2 to 6 years. The average generally is 4 years. We have moved about every 3 to 4 years. So I'm going to go through this entire set of binder inserts. I'm going to show you how they work, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as to whether or not I feel that they are comprehensive and work well for us. Okay, so before I start, I want to say thank you to Liz. Liz is the mastermind behind the list and file binder system. I reached out to her when I first saw it, and she was happy to send me this as a collaboration. So I was gifted this from her so that I could share it with all of you. And I know so many of my followers are active duty spouses, probably because I'm an active duty spouse, so you guys probably follow for that particular reason. And so I'm hoping that this is useful to you. I shared a photo of this when I received it yesterday on Instagram, and a lot of people have sent me messages very curious as to how this works. So when this arrived, it came in this plastic protective sleeve here. I took it out just to flip through it really fast, and I put it in backwards. The sticker tab here is usually on the other side. My receipt was also inside this file as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. And the first thing that you'll see is that it comes with a thank you note. And on the front here, it says you can use their hashtag #MyListAndFile. You can tag them @ListAndFile on Instagram as well. And on the back of it, it actually has more category suggestions for each one of the tabs that's here for the binder set. So I'm really excited to go through all of this, and I will keep this in a binder as well. I have grabbed, for the purpose of this, a cheap 3-ring Avery binder because I want to show you how everything fits in here and how it looks in here. This is just, I think it's a 1-inch binder. Doesn't even say. Looks like it's about a 1-inch binder. I'm sure I picked it up at Walmart during back to school a couple years ago. I use binders all the time for my kids. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the binder system in here, and I'm gonna tuck this into the front pocket for right now. That way, it is always available if I need to access it. So obviously the first step is really easy, put it in a binder. I picked, and I don't remember the name of this pattern, of course. I think it's pronounced Kadena pattern, Kadena. This is brand new to 2020, and I think it actually launched last week. Today is Friday, May 15th, and I think it actually came out last Friday. So I'm really excited to have one of the brand new patterns. I picked this one because it is, from all the patterns, I felt like it was the most neutral. And as you guys are probably well aware, I prefer neutral guts to all of my planners. I would pick a much more fun binder to go with it, but I wanted something more neutral, and particularly the tabs that are white with black writing. I prefer that as well. So because it fits in a standard 3-ring binder, obviously it's going to be a little bit larger than something like the Life Planner, but that's okay. It's probably about the same size as my Teacher Planner, which unfortunately is not here at this moment. So let's go ahead and flip through this. You can see the first section here. There's more than 4 sections. So this is one thing that I wasn't really thrilled about. I think these tabs are huge. And maybe once you fill this up with your PCS paperwork, then perhaps the bigger tabs is better. I like to have something closer to what the Erin Condren tab size is, which you can see here. So you can tell these are, this is my daily duo for anybody who's curious. And I'm gonna do this. I might regret this later, but you can see, look at how the humongous size difference in tabs there. I like a smaller tab with smaller words. I don't think they need to be that large. But again, once you start filling this up with documents and sheet protectors, maybe that's necessary, so we'll see. The first section right here is identity. And it has, you can see there's sections to write each one of your family members. So we've got 4, my husband, myself, and my 2 kids. You write their names right up here. Then you can write birth certificate, driver's license, military ID, passport, social security. And then again, you reference this extra card, marriage license, divorce decree, military passports, naturalization files, anything else that you might need, you can put here. and then there's a notes section. And that setup will repeat for every section here. This paper here is a very thick cardstock. It is not laminated in any way, shape, or form. So I would recommend using a pencil on this, because I think if not, you would end up probably having to purchase new ones every time you PCS, which in all fairness, honestly, like, again, if you're PCSing every 4 years, purchasing a new set and just moving everything over and redoing it, not a humongous deal in my mind. It's a great way to just go through it and double check. Or you could do something, for example, if you're a smaller household, you could even write, you know, yourself and your husband 2020 and 2020, and then yourself, your husband 2024. You could set it up by year as well. There's different options that you can do for that if you prefer to not use a pencil. I generally like pen better, but for this I would use pencil. And I would not recommend the erasable pens, because if you are PCSing and you put this binder in your car, and let's say you're driving from Virginia to California and you have to go through New Mexico and it's July, your pen's gonna erase, man. You leave this in your car for 30 seconds, it's gone. So I would highly recommend using a permanent pen or pencil, not an erasable pen. So the next section is health, and you can see there's TRICARE info, EOBs, health insurance policies, immunization, and health records. Again, all of this stuff too can easily be used for non-military personnel. There are categories, obviously, like your military ID that you would not need. You could just shade those boxes in and pretend they don't exist. Or you can use a small sticker and put a sticker over the top and make a category that fits your life better. But I'm loving the way this is set up so far. So you've got your family member info. Health is always a big one for us because we are on the select plan now, not the prime plan. And so I have to go to every single one of our providers and collect our health records. So by being able to track that, that'd be great. Housing, so your duty station, and you can, I guess you could just write where you're stationed. So this one, obviously you can use quite a few times. Homeowners, renter's insurance, your appliance serial numbers and warranties, mortgage lease things, stuff like that. I would say, let's see, in transit seems to have all the PCS things. So this is really great for making sure that your housing is set up where you're going, but also you can make sure that you're taking care of any housing things that you need to finish before you leave. Then we have in transit. So entitlement summary, expense list and receipts, housing clearance paperwork, packing schedule and shipping lists, that's a big one. Reservation information and travel vouchers. I would probably put in here as well your high value items list. So if you're active duty, you know that anytime you have a high value item, you have to fill out a form with as many details as possible. I would put that, I think this is probably the best place to put it, looking at all the tabs. I would put that in here, and I would make photocopies of everything and take pictures of everything and put them in here as well. Something to note, which you can't see in the video, I'm gonna slide this over a bit. All the tabs are written on both sides. I think that's great. I think that's a feature that you don't necessarily see in binder tabs all the time, so I think that's really great. So we get to legal, orders, power of attorney, wills, life insurance. Again, pretty straightforward, adding in the things that you need to. And again, this one's broken down by family member should you choose to do that. Finances, family member or duty station, however you want to break it down. Your vehicle information. This would have been really helpful to us when we were PCSing the last time. We PCSed at the same time as a deployment. So actually my husband's truck had to go to storage and then my car had to be shipped and we had a lot of things going on. So a vehicle section would have been super helpful. And I'm almost excited to move because of this binder, guys. Then we get into contact info. So this is really important as well. You want to make sure you have all the contact info that you need when you're moving. This binder should come with you in your car. If you're driving, if you're flying, you should bring it on the plane with you. This should be on your person at all times. So these are really good, important things to keep in here as well. Then we get to your emergency contact numbers and emergency information. So anything that you need to do to get that set up goes in here. Deployment, so mail guidelines, orders, important contact info. I think that this would be very helpful as well. I think I'm trying to think back, my husband's deployment was almost, 4.5, 5 years ago. So I'm trying to think back to anything that I don't see necessarily listed in here that I really wish that I had. I think that, important contact info is good to have. I think if you're doing important contact info, you should make sure to have contact for his office, his or her office, like currently where they are working. So my husband was stationed in Los Angeles when he deployed, and I think I had one contact from somebody, I knew his wife, and so I had their contact to get in touch with the office if I needed it. It would have been really nice to have more than that, because LA actually had a really great system to support deployed families. We moved in with my parents across country, and so when they were trying to reach out to me and my children, it was really difficult. So that's something I would make sure that you have. Also, if you're PCSing in the middle of the move, it'd be really nice to have contacts of where you're going. So something to consider as well. And education, we have not actually had to deal with this yet for a PCS move. Because we homeschool right now, and we will probably homeschool between now and our next move, I might not actually need a whole lot of this because I have an entire file system for all of my homeschooling paperwork. But if you are moving and you need to go get school transcripts and records and anything else that you might need to get from your local school district, this is obviously a very important thing to look at. And then of course pets. Now this was a big one for us when we moved last time, because we actually had to fly our pets across country before we left. So my 2 cats went first, my dog went the next day, my brother had to go to the airport to pick them both up. I needed health certificates, registry, I needed all of this, all these vaccinations, veterinary records, I needed all of that, and I needed it at 6:30 in the morning, 2 mornings in a row. My vet wasn't even open and didn't give me half of this paperwork that I needed. So having this kind of checklist would have been really, really helpful. And so that is it that's included in this system. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is a lot of these things in here, and I mean, like your passport, social security card, marriage certificates, things like that, I would not obviously hole punch them and put them in. I don't think that's a very smart idea. So for me, I would want to use a sheet protector. And I apologize, I found one, because if you've been following, you know I'm moving office spaces, and so everything's a mess. So I wanted to see how the sheet protectors fit in here and go with the tabs. And unfortunately, it's gonna cover them. And that, I think, is the same with any tab system you have. So to give you an example of how that's gonna look with a piece of paper in it, I have the 3-hole punched productivity paper from Erin Condren, which I absolutely love. I'm gonna slide that in here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and kind of close the tabs. And you can see, I mean, you can kind of see that it says health there, and it is hard to see the other tabs afterwards. However, again, any tab system that you have is gonna do that, because the sheet protectors are always a little bit further out. If the tabs were any further out, they would be sticking out of the binder, because they are right here on the edge. So let me see if you can see, they're right there on the edge. I'm not sure if you can see that, but any larger and it would completely stick out. But that was the first thing I thought was, how am I gonna put my stuff in here and make it work? I love how comprehensive this is. I mean, truly, if it's not here, it's here on this list. There's not a whole lot that you're going to need to remember. I love how flexible this is. If you don't need it, it's not really gonna have to be on here. If you do need it, you can easily add it. And again, I think that you can reuse a lot of this every PCS, but I think it's moderately affordable where you don't have to worry about replacing it every PCS either. So at $17, I think it's $16.95, but at $17 for all the inserts, I think it's reasonably priced for a 4-year move, and to make sure that you're not forgetting anything or leaving anything behind, because a PCS is a really stressful time. For those of you who don't move frequently or maybe have never moved, it's not just picking up and moving from, you know, a house on one side of the neighborhood to the other side of the neighborhood, or one side of the state to the other side of the state. More than likely, you are moving across the country, or you are moving multiple states away. You probably, as a military personnel, I have always experienced, we've never had family around to help. Sometimes we've been at a duty station where we've got lots of friends and lots of you know, military support. Other times we've lived at a station where we've had none. And so to have something that kind of helps keep that anxiety and stress level down, so important. So important. So the only thing about this that I kind of, and this is my like OCD level, guys, and again, if you followed me for a while, you probably know how much I love things to match. The only thing that I wish that this came with that it doesn't is some form of like insert cover that I can put on my binder, or maybe even a sticker that I can put on the front if I didn't have a viewfinder binder. It would be really nice if I had something that matched this pattern that said PCS binder, or list and file, anything that could identify what this is on the outside of the binder. I would also really like to have some kind of cover page here that has like a master checklist. So something that has identity, health, I'm sorry, I got my sheet protector in there. So all of these categories on the front so that I can check off when each one of them is complete, so that I know overall that I'm ready to go. So those are the kind of things that I'm like, I feel like this maybe could be missing, but I've not ever used a binder to PCS, first off. I'll tell you that. I've used a big accordion file where I just shoved everything in and hoped that we made it out okay. I definitely want to use this and see. We've been extended a year, so we won't be moving till 2021 now. But again, the amount of comprehensive information in here and the things that I can start gathering now, I think is fantastic. And for me personally, I would have a section in here as well. I know there's one here that says contact info, but I would probably have an entire section of like communication, like a communication log. And I would put something similar to my Erin Condren. Let me see if I can get these in here. My productivity notepad. I would probably do something where I can have, you know, the date, the name of person I contacted or talked to, what was said, and that way I've got kind of like a contact log of sorts, so that anytime I need to speak to somebody or I did speak to somebody, I have a very good reference of that. But otherwise, I absolutely love this. The quality of this is phenomenal. It's really thick paper. The tabs are laminated, so that's really nice. The back of the binder here, not the front, but the back also has that reinforcement on the holes, so it's durable. You're not gonna have to worry about it ripping or tearing. And again, you know, if you're gonna hole punch something and put it in here, it's gonna fit beautifully. If you're gonna use the sheet protectors, yes, it's gonna stick out a little bit, but that's how every single sheet protector binder system works. So here's a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 in there. You can't even see that it's there. So I definitely love this system. I'm very excited to get started putting our things in this as well. I think it's wonderful to have something completely like comprehensive like this, where there's so much flexibility that no matter what you're doing or where you're going, you can really add what you need. You know, like I said, I would love to have a communication log in here, but I can put that in the back, or I can even put a page in each category. So for housing, I can put a piece of paper in here, and that can be my communication log at the housing tab, so that anytime, and I can keep that right up front, you know, the first piece of paper there, so that anytime I talk to somebody about housing, I can just keep a record of it in here. So if you are active duty and you are looking to move and PCS, I know right now is kind of a really odd time for everybody, but this might be a blessing in disguise. It's giving you some time if your PCS has been deferred, which I know in our area, I believe it's been a 3-month deferment for your report no later than date. So if you are being deferred and given a little bit extra time and you've got the time, this would be a really great system to take your time and set up right now before you go. So hopefully you like this video. If you do, give it a like. If you'd like to learn more about the list and file system, I am linking them in the description below, but definitely go over and follow me on Instagram, where I will share more about that. And of course, for more planner related items, please definitely subscribe to my channel. Tap that bell, that'll turn on notifications so you're always alerted when a new video comes out. And as I mentioned before, for behind the scenes, sneak peeks, and what I'm working on right now, head on over to my Instagram, @Laura Plans It. Thanks so much for watching.